If you're still scared to try Warrior in POE2 2, then you need to stop, because Warrior will be one of the best league starters in upcoming patch. I just finished campaign on this test run and it took me less than 7 hours, while reading chat, having some fun and showing different tips and tricks that I will show you right now. So in reality it's super fast build to beat campaign, almost one-shot bosses, and it's insanely tanky without perfect gear, which is insanely good, especially if you're a beginner. So before we will be able to destroy bosses with just few hits, let's start our journey straight from clear fell. And with my first tip that I found in POE2 2 racing competition, so it was official race competition and I saw people done it over there. Basically, when you get your first club, you want to respawn from checkpoint without equipping it. This will give you ability to dual wield these clubs. And the same trick can be done with this skill that you always will find in the early game. Just touch this checkpoint and respawn on checkpoint. You will find the skill again in a box and you can do it as much as you wish. And the first skill is a rolling slam. It's super easy to use, basically you just roll and do 2 attacks. The most important part, you can actually change directions and you can use a roll if you want to cancel animation and escape from enemies. This skill will build up stun on enemies and also will deal bonus damage to them when they are stunned. At the same time, it's area of effect skill, so it's nice to clear monster packs. Basically, it's everything you need for the first act. But of course you will need a little bit of good gear, that's why I prepared shopping list for you. You just copy paste it in the shop and it will highlight everything useful. And we can sell these initial skills for 29 gold, so just 10 skills will give us insanely good starting weapon. And for weapons we're looking for anything with added elemental or physical damage, with increased physical damage and with level 2 melee skills. For all armor pieces we're just looking for added life, and that's it. As second skill we're crafting Bone Shatter. Then going into our first location and opening this abundant stash for one more skill. And technically we're finishing our build throughout the whole Act 1. It will be Contagion. Contagion is magic skill, but it will speed up our clearing a lot. Basically you just drop Contagion on one of the monsters and start slamming. Contagion will spread and it will clear monster packs. It will just increase your clearing speed and also you will get more experience, because sometimes maybe you will miss bunch of monsters behind, so it will clear them for you. So what about Bone Shatter? Why do we need it? Basically, whenever you can't kill monsters in one hit, and it will happen when you got pretty low powered weapon, so if you was unlucky, if you was not able to buy upgrade for weapon, that's basically when it starts to happen. You will stop actually defeating monsters in one hit, or when you're fighting bosses like this. Every hit builds up this stun meter below enemy health bar. When they are ready to get stunned, you will see this blob on their head, and that's when you use Bone Shatter. It will instantly heavy stun enemies, therefore you will not only deal a lot of damage, but also will start dealing bonus damage with your rolling slam. And that's basically your combination against bosses for this part of the game. If you're trying to speedrun, you definitely want to skip Mud Burrow, but if you're in this video, you definitely want to have easier and more fun time. That's why Mud Burrow is really important, because it will drop you Uncut Skill Gem tier 2, and we will be able to upgrade Rolling Slam to level 2, so it will be a lot more powerful in next area. Also back in town you can speak with Renly and get one more support gem, which is insanely big power boost for us. So right now I'm in Red Vale and defeating monsters. Red Vale is really important area because it's area level 4, and in this area you will be able to find Refined Arms. Refined Arms will have guaranteed drop of every type of martial weapon, therefore you will be able to find upgrade for your two-handed mace. That's the biggest tip if you want to have better time in next few areas. While on paper it may not look like a big upgrade, in reality it's at least plus 40% more damage. And knowing these upgrading points is really important to not mess up and to continue developing your character throughout the campaign. Right now just keep in mind, you don't want to waste currency on this weapon, only augmentation and transmutation orbs. It's not super important currency. Every blue item that you will find that is not needed for a build, you want to sell to traders so you will have enough gold, and every yellow item you will find you want to disenchant. After disenchanting 10 items you will be able to get a regal orb, and that's important for our big power spike in Act 2. So if you start preparing now, you will be able to completely obliterate Act 2 soon. Okay, let's talk about skills. By the way, you can find all character snapshots in the pinned comment, so you may copy exact setups of skills, support gems and passive skill tree. For rolling slam I'm using rapid attacks and Fist of War. For more attack speed, and also Fist of War is insanely cool. You will see these big blue explosions that will increase damage and also increase area of effect, and that's exactly ancestrally boosted by Fist of War attacks. For Bone Shatter, it's rapid attacks and impact shockwave. Rapid attacks is pretty self-explanatory. You just want to attack faster. You don't want to be a slug. And impact shockwave will deal massive shockwave around your target. So it's nice for clearing, especially if you can't destroy wall bug in one single rolling slam. After destroying boss in Red Veil, this guy Rust King, you will unlock Infernal Cry. And for Infernal Cry I'm using Tireless. You don't need to worry, it just works. Most important is to understand how Infernal Cry work. When you near enemies you can use it and it will accumulate power and enchant attacks based on how many enemies or how powerful they are around you. In boss rotation you will use it right after stunning the boss, so we're doing a bunch of attacks, then we're using Bone Shatter to stun the boss, and then we're crying and using more rolling slams. It will instantly obliterate boss and he will disappear, giving you juicy drops and experience. Last but not least, our Spirit Gem. After defeating boss in Freytorn, exactly this guy King of the Mists, and as you can see he disappearing insanely quickly, you will get Spirit Gem. And we will craft Herald of Ash. It will just help our clearing speed a lot. Highest skill gem you will get in this act is tier 5, and you want to craft Perfect Strike with Fire Attunement and Window of Opportunity. Try to practice and make sure you release button exactly at the right time, so you create this big fire shock wave. We will use it only against bosses. We will prime a boss for stun, then we use Bone Shatter, we cry and start using Perfect Strike. At the same time, since we're doing a lot of fire damage, boss not only taking big amount of damage, but also he taking damage over time from fire. To do something like this, you need correct setup for passive skill tree. It is pretty simple in the first act, because we don't have a lot of options yet. However, again, basic principle is get as much damage as possible. Therefore, we're going with melee damage route over here, followed by brutal. Brutal will increase melee damage and stun build up. We're building loads of stun, and we will follow our damage route right to the Smash. Smash will increase our melee damage even more, but this damage will be increased against heavy stunned enemies. As you saw, we stun enemies pretty quickly and pretty easily, therefore all this route will basically double or triple our damage. To add a little bit of spice, especially when we're fighting our first boss, we want to have Burning Strikes. We will gain 12% of physical damage as extra fire damage. So it's a lot of extra fire damage on top, and even basic attacks will burn our target, and our target will lose health over time while we preparing our next strike. And at the same time, getting Sturdy Metal is also nice. So basically, versus first boss, you want to have all this road to the damage and this Sturdy Metal, which will increase armor from equipped body armor, and it's 80% increase. With previous note that gives us 15% increased armor, we basically getting 100% increased armor from our body armor, effectively doubling it. And with this setup you easily will get into Act 2. I forgot to mention that next gear upgrade will be at level 11, so around level 11 you need to find next mace with required level 11 and some good rolls. You can buy it or you may find it on the ground. And you will be able to beat bosses like this easily in Act 2, especially if you land perfect strikes. But as you can see, I failed this perfect strike, still am dealing insane amount of damage. That's because I was pretty lucky and dropped this exact mace in first act with insane amount of extra damage. But even if you're not lucky, you will be able to beat Act 1 with right passive skill tree and right gem and support gem combination. And at the start of Act 2 you start looking for this studded Great Club. It's the next weapon upgrade. This one is insanely big jump in terms of DPS, and the next upgrade will be only at level 28. It will be right at the end of Act 2, so just before the boss you will find these maces and you will be able to go all in on them, and they will carry you in Act 3. To go all in, make sure to stay in this area that you see on the screen right now for a while. It's Mountain Quarry, and on top there is high chance to drop Blacksmith Whetstone, Armor Scrap and other stuff that will increase power of your weapon and armor. By going all in, I mean you need to find good base with at least increased physical damage, and then you're going with Orb of Transmutation, with Regal Orb, or even with Essence of Lightning that will add a little bit of lightning damage, and then you even dropping Exalted Orbs if if you got them. It will create insanely overpowered weapons that will carry you through the whole act. Also you making sockets, dropping runes that you got from the first act, and adding quality from blacksmith whetstones that we got from mountain quarry. Here's the fun part though. In Act 2, skill gems tier 7 will start to appear, and that's where you can flesh out your final build that will carry you right to the end game. But before I explain your full build, let's talk about our ascendancy. Yeah, this build will work for any ascendancy. You can basically play as any type of warrior. If you go for Titan or Warbringer, you can make this pretty powerful, but in my opinion this build is already insanely broken, especially the one that we will go after Act 2. So what I recommend is picking Kitava warrior instead. Kitava will give you insanely nice boost in survivability, and it's insanely important in the campaign. All you need from Kitava is just 2 points. If you wish, you can refund your points later, after you complete next trial, and after refunding points you will be able to change your ascendancy. But for now we're getting extra fire resistance and making fire resistance to apply to other resistances. Now just stack as much fire resistance as possible, try to find good fire rings with fire resistance and you will be golden. And here's the deal. Actually I will show you 2 builds. So this one will be with Lip Slam. I crafted Lip Slam, and now with support gems tier 2 I will craft Bring. This support gem will force Lip Slam to never stun enemies. This means I jump on them, instantly prime for stun, but they are not stunned. So I can unleash Warcry and then Bone Shatter to clear even deadliest packs of monsters. Also you can use this skill for traveling, so if you want to jump somewhere or jump through some gaps, you can easily do it. Cool part that basically in our setup nothing changes, so when you find better support gems you can just upgrade rapid attacks to tier 2, you can upgrade Fist of War in Rolling Slam and so on. With survivability that we get from Kitava Ascension and from Fire Rings, we basically almost immortal, so I'm face tanking this boss and just shooting my perfect strikes at him. However, there is different ways how we can approach this act, and there's second build that I will show you that I picked in Act 3. The problem was there was no skill gems for me, so initial plan was to actually switch to this build even on boss in Act 2, but again, the build that you see right now is capable to clear everything. By the end of the game you can just add Hammer of the Gods to fight versus bosses and you will use it only against bosses instead of Perfect Strike, and that's it. Also it's nice to add Titan Bloods on passive skill tree to use two-handed mace in one hand and shield in another hand for survival. But of course let's take a look at our passives in Act 2. That's where it begins to look weird, but I will explain everything like pretty easily. So as you can see, I respect my points over here, and it's right now red, and red means it's weapon set number 1 or weapon set number 2, it doesn't matter. This is weapon set for your basic abilities. And there's another weapon set which is green, and green weapon set is used only for Warcry cooldown recovery rate, Warcry power, basically for our Warcries. And full road in Act 2 looks like this. We're getting a little bit of attribute points until we reach this node over here and get empowered attack damage, and that's where we start to allocate our different points. So we respect our character, remove 3 points over here and start investing. Green nodes over here, there's 5 nodes, and a little bit of green nodes over here, it will be 3 nodes. So right after Ket we will get this 8 passive skill points for weapon sets, and we should be able to allocate them as soon as possible. Also there's a bunch of points over here in skill speed, it helps a lot because attack speed is really bad for warrior with two-handed maces. This makes our life a little bit easier, and also I'm taking a little bit of rage on hit over here. It also helps, we're getting rage when we Warcry, but still this extra rage on melee hit helps us to keep it constantly going and keep it high. That's basically my tree when I finished Act 2 boss. But as you can see, we started speccing over here because it's increased attack damage, but more on that in Act 3, where I will switch to another build, and actually you can start playing it right from the Act 2. Now just take a look at the damage against one of the mid bosses in Act 3, and it's just insane, he melting in a few seconds. To assemble this build, you just need to have shield wall that is unlocked exactly at the same time when you unlock this jumping attack. Also, it's nice to have shield charge, and then build finalizes when you got freezing mark. On our Warcries we want to use raging cry, so we build more rage, therefore we'll deal more damage. On shield wall we want to have rapid attacks to place it faster, fire attunement because we scale our passive tree with fire damage a little bit, so it's nice to have it, and concentrated area for more damage. If you unlock more slots, again, just look for something with more damage. Also, I'm using Mana Leech on Fortifying Cry, so I'm having zero problems with mana, and Life Leech on Shield Charge. Sometimes it really helps against monsters. So build is extremely simple and works extremely simple too. All you need to do is to place a shield wall, and then you need to blow it up. To blow it up, you can use your shield charge, you can use any of your Warcries, so both of them will work. And that's the idea behind all three skills that can detonate our shield wall. Basically, we got different skills with cooldowns, so you're placing shield wall, you're using one skill, you're placing one more shield wall on another monsters, you're using another skill, and while they on cooldowns, you're using your shield charge. And you don't need any special strategy against bosses. It's the same shield walls and cry, shield walls and cry. I place two shield walls and it basically melts bosses almost instantly. However, there is one more trick, it's freezing mark with mark for dash support gem. You want to apply it before the battle starts, and then you will instantly blow enemies' armor. Therefore, you will deal a lot more damage because the shield wall deals mostly physical damage. The reason behind freezing mark is its mixed skill, therefore it uses a lot less total resource. So we don't need 90 dexterity, for example, but we just need 40 dexterity and 40 intelligence. If you decided to stick with my advices and picked Smith of Kitava, well, you can even tank enemies at this point of the game. As you can see, I'm just standing in all Doriani's skills and he can't even inflict a part of damage to me. That's how powerful this build is. And yes, we're dealing a little bit less damage than Titan and probably than Warbringer, but just look at this. We can defeat Doriani with just 3 shield walls, like 4 shield walls. It's just brutal. I will explain you how to pick your equipment for this exact damaged output, but first of all let's check our passive skill tree. Act 3 passive notes continue from where we stopped. Basically I invested a little bit in attack damage in this location. I thought I actually got this vocal empowerment, but I misclicked, so I don't have it. You probably want to have this empower of additional attack, it really helps, but build works without even this note. Then I went with a little bit of attribute points to get attribute requirements for passive skill gems, and also this increased attack area damage, and maximum life and area of effect. It really helps us with more area for our attacks, therefore we clear a lot faster, and since we are able to break armor right now, I also invested in increased armor breaking over here, and finished Act 3 with these notes over here with increased global physical damage, which will end in increased skill speed at the same time, and you should probably have it if you're a little bit higher level than me at this point of the game. So, about gear. Basically, to make this build work, you just need a good shield with high enough armor. All you need to do is to just look for shields with already +2 armor or increased armor in percentage based. Then just drop iron runes, augment it with blacksmith whetstones, and the higher your armor on your shield, the more damage you will inflict with shield walls. That's it. Other equipment, it's exactly the same, you're just looking for more life. Now, weapon will be one-handed mace, and all you're looking for is just plus level to melee skills. We're not using any weapon attacks, therefore you don't care what actual weapon is in your hands. So if you found +2 level to melee skills in Act like 2, for example, you can keep it through whole campaign and even in endgame, you just stick with this weapon. There is 2 more pieces of equipment where you can get increased power. It's amulet, so there's amulets with plus level to melee skills, and also there is gloves with plus level to melee skills. On gloves in campaign you're mostly looking for +1 level to melee skills at least, because maximum is +2 and it's pretty high level, around like level 50 if I remember correctly. For amulets you're just looking for +1, +2, and you can find +3 very late in the game, so again, look for +1 to melee skills on amulet, it will be more than enough. That's it, just stack as much fire resistance as possible, as much armor, life as possible, and get a good shield, and you will just just one-shot the bosses, stun them permanently, and it will be easy and fun time for you. Again, you may find all character snapshots in pinned comment, and now let's learn about our passive skill tree. I finished investing in this global physical damage and then got 1 point over here. After getting few levels, I was able to invest in a rage on melee hit and chance to get maximum rage, and it goes for weapon set number 1. At the same time, I went for extra points in weapon set number 2 and got Warcry speed and also Warcry cooldown recovery rate. It helps a lot with our skill rotation when we switch to shield style. And then it's pretty easy. I went forward in attribute points because I'm aiming for the Molten One's gift. We're breaking armor pretty successfully. In this node over here will increase effect of fully broken armor, will give us fire resistance. Smith of Kitava really likes this fire resistance, so that's a nice little branch over here. Final notes, as I told you, I got this Molten One's gift for extra fire resistance and effects of fully broken armor, and at the same time I started to feel that I need a little bit more protection, but instead of looking for better gear, I just invested in these nodes over here for increased armor, and also armor will be applied to elemental damage. It's nice protective layer and just 4 points. Then I discovered that melee damage increases our damage even more, so I decided to invest in these little skies or whatever it is. It increases melee damage against immobilized enemies and we stun enemies constantly. At the same time, it increases our armor if we hit enemy recently, so it's no brainer. We got resistance and also we're getting damage at the same time. And I finished a run with these strength nodes over here. We're missing last 2 points, but they go into brute strength. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video and you will have blast playing this warrior in Path of Exile 2.